I want to talk to you today about nerve impingements. What is a nerve? I have clients that go in for x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs. Sometimes their nerves might be impinged, sometimes there's no evidence, but yet they might have pain. Nerve pain can be described as tingly, numb, itchy, stabbing. Nerve pain is not sore, stiff, bruisey. That can be more of a muscle soreness. But nerve pain's a little bit unique on its own way. How do you know if you have nerve pain? I was one that these two fingers felt like they were always slammed in a door. It wasn't until somebody actually went and worked on my inside of my shoulder blade, right about this area here, that finally, after a year of being in constant pain, they gave up on me. 3 years later, I found a massage therapist that when he got to that area, my fingers went zing, all over again. And I went, how did you know? Here I thought the problem was gone. It was just hiding. And he goes, I just did. Hopefully, I do better than that. So yesterday I was telling two of my clients about a beaver and a cow and a river. We don't live very far from the Mississippi River, and most people have been alongside of a river or hiking alongside of a river. And as you're watching the flow, it's amazing. And sometimes you can be watching, and then all of a sudden the river starts to slow down. You look, and here's been some beavers. Maybe they built a little bit of a hut. Maybe there's been some logs. Maybe there's just a little trickle, and maybe it's been a full block, or maybe that you don't notice anything. There's that little hut, and then the water just goes around it, and no big deal. Much of the way of our bodies. I had a client walk in yesterday, 2 clients. One of them had carpal tunnel. They've been wanting to do surgery for years. I could see when he walked in, his fingers didn't open very well. We did some posture images, had him close his eyes, and his head was a little kinked, shoulder was up a little bit. Might this be causing some of that issues with having those fingers open and close without stiffness, pain? We'll see. The other client actually had numbness on the top of her leg. She remembered that I went and I told her about when I was a youth and fell out of a tree and how I was noticing some residual effects many years later. She's like, it's been numb here for so long, I didn't know it was any different. But the reason she came was she actually had some low back pain that was so severe that the last diagnosis that somebody went and indicated, the next suggestion for her is to actually have her nerves burned so that they will actually snipped off so that the pain will no longer be there and that the nerves would just regrow back. As a nurse, she decided maybe that wasn't the best path. And I said, what do you say we try to see what I can do? Because I like my myoskeletal alignment. Myo, of course, means muscle, skeleton. It's all about the bones. Alignment is how things work together. Whether you're standing, sitting, are things working? Are they a little kinked on one side? Is the hip out of place and maybe pinching on things? So what I do, worked with these people, and we were able to restore movement, better movement in that low back. We also were able to restore that restricted neck to have better movement even down to the hands so that he could feel zero pain. No stiffness, even his elbow and shoulder were moving much better. Now, if you think about nerves, the nerves actually come from the brainstem here. They travel inside here, and then there's each of these vertebrae, there's nerves that come off of them. Down here is where we call this sciatic nerve, but there's also the femoral, orbital. There's lots of different nerves. There's lots of different nerves in our body. Sometimes we just hear about the big ones. Sorry, got a little spine that's a little out of place. Got to put him, oh, there we go. It's a little kinked. Sometimes that happens to our own body. So we were actually able to, with her, because we're working in the pelvic area, we were actually able to use movement of the legs, positioning, her breathing, which expanded and helped to open up the area of the nerves. What does that have to do with a cow and a beaver? So remember walking on that river, you went and you saw that beaver hut, that beaver den? Not a big deal, because it really wasn't affecting you. You were just watching and walking. But if you're a farmer and you notice that your cows aren't doing so well, you could look back around to the grasses that they've been feeding on. Maybe those grasses aren't getting as much water. Maybe there's been a drought, or the waterways used to come to there and keep that grass green so that your cattle could flourish. But all of a sudden your cows, you've noticed that your cows aren't looking so healthy. It doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a week. It happens through time, that all of a sudden you start walking going, where'd the water go? What happened? The effect was the cow. But what was the cause? So we have to travel back to find out, where were things a little blocked? How badly were they blocked? Can we move things around that area so that we can get the flow back to where it should be? To me, that's how I think of nerves. Kind of like a river. The flow is up and down. If an accident happens, that maybe a disc gets a little kinked off to one side, that might pinch things. Maybe there's been some weightlifting or a fall that all of a sudden, and we didn't think about the fact that our arm went and fell and jammed us right over here, so that we didn't even notice that things weren't working right. We just noticed that we couldn't quite lift our arm up in the same capacity from one arm to the other. Sometimes we do need to know about what the cause is. It's effective, it's helpful, but it's also helpful to have a better understanding of, why did I not notice this? My muscles don't move in the same. I feel weaker from one side to the other. Being a myoskeeletal alignment therapist as well as a personal trainer, I have the opportunity to test and assess, to move, to engage my clients. That's what I love with myoskeeletal alignment. I have the opportunity to engage with my clients, and it's like, okay, I know you've got some neck issues there, but I'm not getting that hand to move the way I want you to. Just give me a little push here. All right, and that's actually engaging the shoulder muscles. Or lower a little here. That's engaging the rib cage and loosening up these neck muscles. So there's different ways to get into the vertebrae that are around that might even be not moving as efficiently, and maybe those nerves haven't been moving as efficiently, especially if we've got more postural issues of that forward head posture, that leaning forward. This muscle this nerve right here can get caught, so that we might notice it more as the elbow or in the arm, but it might actually be this one here, or it might be the supraspinatus in the areas right above the below the deltoid. It might be in the back. So there's 3 different areas of impingement: the medial, the ulnar, radial. They come down the arm, into the wrists, into the fingers. There's a pathway, just like a river has tributaries and different pathways. No river goes straight. It veers off in different ways. And there's little spin-offs, much like our nervous system. Little spin-offs that go into different places. They can be stuck, or they can work just fine. But it's not always a bad thing to just kind of have things assessed to see, is there something more that can improve my balance? When we're doing a lot of sitting, we've got a lot of that L4, L5, S1 getting jammed in there, and our butt muscles getting stuck because we're just sitting too often. It's one of the reasons why I like a posture cushion. Get to wiggle around a little bit more. But I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about nerves. And yes, beavers might be cute when we're walking around until somewhere down the line there's a little bit of a blockage that creates a disturbance in the flow. Whether it might be just a little bit of a flow or a big flow. We want to be able to find those, work around those, and get them moving as efficiently as possible. This is Tammy Shaw Sykes from Shift Fitness and Massage, helping you to just do better, because shifts happen when we make an effort. Thank you.